Thank you for joining me for episode 3. Today we're going to talk about financial crimes committed by Vice Mayor Jason Lee and the attack and stabbing of his campaign manager. Before we get started, I just want to say that I love Stockton, and I know a lot of you love Stockton, and there's a lot of positive things to talk about and wonderful people here. But sometimes you have to have a conversation about the bad and the ugly before things can get better, and that's why we're here. We should be talking about the mass shooting at the children's birthday party, where there still have been no arrests. We should be talking about why Stocktonia and the Stockton Record and the 209 Times are not mentioning anything about what I've been talking about the last few days. It's almost like they don't want to mention the name Jason Lee. But I'm taking a page right out of the Vice Mayor's playbook, and I'm going to be extremely annoying and continue to pound this issue until the right people are listening. And yes, Jason, you do live in Los Angeles. You're trying to spend more time here all of a sudden because you know that we're on to you. And it's very unfortunate that you had a grandmother kicked out of your sister's house, basically Tamika's mother-in-law, because she told the truth and told folks that in fact Jason Lee lives in Los Angeles and not Stockton, California. So he kicked her out, just like he's threatening to kick out Teddy if Teddy tells the truth about what has happened so far. And to my knowledge, the update is Teddy is all of a sudden kicked out, no longer living at the Oak Street address. So let's get right into it and talk about the issues. Jason Lee has committed money laundering pertaining to the campaign. He's committed perjury because he doesn't report contributions. There's a contribution limit of $5,900. He has a shady contribution made to his sister Tamika Small from one of the members of his entourage who really didn't have that money a few minutes before the donation was made. But things like letters and mailers and signs, and especially manpower, none of this stuff has been legally recorded, and Jason Lee is basically using his private monies to fund his sister and Desiree. And more so is the fact that I've been monitoring these large groups of Jason's entourage that he brings from Los Angeles in a limo bus. He brings them down here. They stay at his house that he has in Western Ranch, and they stay there, and then they come out and they blanket campaign. They pass out campaign literature and flyers and stuff, and we call it canvassing, and they do that in the neighborhoods, making Stocktonians feel like these are people who live in the town who want to see Tamika and Desiree get elected and who support Jason, when in fact they're just paid folks. Jason hasn't listed any of those type of folks. Now he'll say that they're his friends and they're volunteering, but he's paying them. Similar to when he pays Theodore Teddy's rent, and he does it by PayPal. But anyways, Teddy, the campaign manager you're all of a sudden hearing so much about, is basically an indentured servant to Jason Lee, Tamika, and Desiree. He has to do whatever they say, or he's been threatened to be kicked out on the streets. He doesn't have food, and so it makes sense, you know, what you guys are reading. He's basically treated worse than a homeless dog. And none of the financial transactions between Jason and Teddy were ever reported. And a few nights before Teddy was attacked, he had indicated to me that he would like to tell the truth and come clean, and he feels bad about being scared of Jason. And then by some coincidence, some crazy coincidence, Teddy was stabbed 5 times while walking from the St. Mary's dining hall to get something to eat because he was hungry. And he walked to the bus stop on Commerce, and he was stabbed 5 times. People keep reporting, oh, it wasn't life-threatening. 5 stabs is life-threatening, a few inches to the left, to the right. If the perpetrator would have kept going, Teddy could have been killed. And to me, that's attempted murder. I don't know why we're not talking about attempted murder. And yes, that's a major problem that RTD in the city needs to deal with. You can't have active drug deals going on Commerce Street. I did go down there myself to see it, and someone told me to move along. There's no bus stop here. And the guy was in the middle of a drug deal transaction, literally 1.5 football fields away from the Stockton police station. So they need to light that place up like a Christmas tree with cameras and the blue lights, or if they can't police it, they simply need to cancel that as a bus stop for their route. So what's interesting is none of Teddy's clients, no Tamika, no Desiree, no Jason, ever visit him at the hospital. But I did. I had to bring him clothes since I knew the hospital staff ripped off his bloody clothes and he wasn't going to have anything to leave with. And so I did that. And guess what? A few nights later, he ends up on my front porch and he looks terrible. He's still bleeding. So my friends and I are trying to figure out why he's still bleeding, why the stitches are coming off, why the hospital staff released him in the middle of the night. And so we gave him a shower, some clothes, some food. And the very next day, there's this grand press conference with Tamika, Desiree, and Jason about how much they're concerned with the safety of Stockton residents and how sad they are of what happened to Teddy. Meanwhile, I look over and he's bleeding on my couch still. So it's very frustrating. And the vice mayor has the gall to ask me why we would open a GoFund account for Teddy. And he's not a U.S. citizen. So when Teddy needs medication, we had to go to UC Davis. And so let me just sum this up, because let me tell you what's going to happen. The residents of Stockton, you're going to demand charges be filed against Desiree Lynch and that she's disqualified. Jason and his sister will no doubt hide behind fancy LA lawyers and PR firms and claim he doesn't know anything about Desiree, doesn't know anything about the illegal apartment. And Desiree and Teddy will likely, hopefully, cooperate with law enforcement, and Jason will lose his title of vice mayor and hopefully be kicked off the council. And so my last advice to you, Jason, is you do have the right to remain silent.